Former Navy SEAL and all-around American hero Jonathan T. Gilliam joins us now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for those kind words.
Well, Jonathan, I'm so glad to have you on because with someone with your background, I know that you had a lot of thoughts when you were watching the assassination attempt unfold and the subsequent confusion as to why that kind of shot was even allowed. So close to the president, you know, straight line of shot, slopey roofs and all. Lots of questions, and I want to ask you, what were some of the questions that went through your mind as you watched this unfold and the FBI and Secret Service's handling subsequently?
So it's interesting, when I heard about this, I was on the phone with one of the crisis managers that works for me in my company, who's overseas with a client that's on tour, and we were talking about making sure that the assessment was done right and how everything's set up, which we do on a daily basis. And when I heard this, I quickly went over to the news. I saw this occurring, and as soon as I looked at where it was happening, and I panned back and saw the fairgrounds, and the first question I asked was, who did the threat assessment on this? How could they have not put that into those buildings into the frozen zone? And the way I knew that so quickly that it wasn't is because people filming it were not in the frozen zone. You could see that there was a fence up in front of them where the screening was going on, which meant that those people themselves weren't even screened. So
what is the frozen zone? Explain to our audience what that is in security terms.
Right. So when you do a threat assessment of an area and you do an advance, you're looking for an area where the threat could come from, the avenue of approach, whether it could be a shooter or a bomb or a car bomb or any of these different things. And if the event is big enough, you start to push that area out of concern and try to block those avenues of approach. And then you freeze those zones, you get everybody out, and then you clear it. And then you keep it that way until the event is over with. And so anybody going into that area has to be screened. So the area is frozen from the point you come in there and you do the threat assessment, you determine what needs to be done. And then before the event occurs, you clear that particular area that you've determined where the threats can come from, and you freeze it. And so those buildings were not included in the frozen zone, nor were places where you could take a shot from the ground. So that was the first question I asked. Then as I watched the whole thing unfold, I couldn't believe how bad the tactics were of the Secret Service detail that was on him, how slow they moved, how they did not yank him off the stage to the back and get him to the vehicle as fast as possible. They had no clue what kind of wound he had. He could have had an artery that was struck, and they took 2 minutes to get him to the vehicle and allowed him to stand up with agents around him that weren't even up to his shoulders, so he was still exposed. So the whole thing was ridiculous. The CAT team that got up there, which you're seeing right there, they didn't act like they knew what they were doing. And then the vehicle was not put in a way that it could get out of there quickly.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.